Ahem.
For now, all is in line, right? We play 3 games, 2 of them back to back. And yeah, our backs are against the wall. So we're gonna have to step it up big time.
JDG will remain undefeated in the group.
很爽吧，因为我之前是没有体验过这种感觉的，但是还是不能太过骄傲，因为第二轮还是要小心他们。
1년 동안 쌓아온 것들이 이제 또 결제해서 발휘되어야 할 시기라고 생각해서.
There goes 369 now. The flick's fantastic. Another Searing Charge going to be there, but he's denied by Dr. who locks on that kill as well. The rail's going to be taken, and Doggery still up and alive. They dive forward. Oh my god, the AoE is just absurd. The triple kill for Zero for Don 1 kill.
这3支队都交过手吧，感觉其实我们每一场都赢下来都非常艰难。我感觉就是我跟卡纳也必须表现得更好才行。
일단 배운 점은 좀 확실히 우승하려면 정말 죽을 듯이 노력해야 한다는 것이고, 이게 저희가 우승하기 위해서 그냥 다 같이 노력하고 정말 최선을 다했다면 그래도 실패는 아니라고 생각합니다.
Power Worlds has not been too good for EG, even for NA. I felt like the game versus Damwon and JDG was definitely winnable. The other teams will definitely be more pressured. They have so much to lose. They'll definitely have more motivation to play better.
2020년도에 한번 우승을 해봤는데 꼭 이번에도 꼭 맛보고 싶습니다.
然后我们目标就是以小组第一出线。
You might have beaten us, but we are gonna strive to take you down this time. And when we are putting you down, there's no getting back up.
Welcome to Parallel Convergence. I am Andesian, and joined with me, as always, is the one and only, the DSDO of the network. The man needs no further introduction, Dr. Manhattan. Let's try that one more time. The man needs no further introduction. He is the DSDO of this network, your friend and mine, Dr. Manhattan.
Not only have the last 2 days been crazy, I think we can say that we avoided another caster's curse. It helped that I went ahead and I put in my predictions first. Had I not changed my mind.
So does this song sound familiar to you, sir?
Yes, it does.
It's like it was just playing a couple of moments ago.
Yes, because it was Mr. Oh, get me on air, and then technical difficulties, as it were.
Look, I had that working in the test studio. It ain't my fault that it wasn't working in this studio. Trying something new today.
Right.
StreamYard now has an option where you can share your Chrome tabs directly rather than having to share the entire screen.
You know that's been a thing for a while?
Do not question the producer and the producer things. Getting on topic today. Holy shit! What a group stage so far!
I mean, aside from, what I kept accurately predicting about NA and, making some headway but continually kind of shitting the bed.
Yeah. So about NA and EU.
Yeah,
NA has gone from a 0-6 week down to a 1-5 week, or improved to a 1-5 week. Yeah, I think we can say improved slightly. Actually, no. I'll be honest.
I was gonna say, I'm like, isn't it 2-4?
No, I mean 1-5 is in overall standings.
Oh,
Like they would,
continue.
yeah. We went from 0-3 to 1-5. I guess that's an improvement.
Yeah,
Both
technically is.
NA teams managing to pick up at least one win in Worlds before they get summarily executed. I mean, eliminated. I mean, hasta la vista, sayonara. That means goodbye.
This is how we're starting. And I pushed the button at the same time that you did.
No, I didn't. You double clicked it. And I realized I fucked up the whammy, but I mean, you get where I was going with that. So,
Yeah, I knew the intent.
Meanwhile, we are saying arrivederci, bon voyage, hasta la vista. That means goodbye to G2 and EDG today. Because we did the math, trademark. We should get that on a Chiron. By tiebreaker rules, which Riot does not apply to 3-4 situations, right? So this is all technicalities here. Excuse me. But if you had resolved the tiebreaker for EDG G2, because of course people are going to want that tiebreaker resolved, right? If you use the tournament rule set for a two-way tie, it comes down to head-to-head fastest victory time, right? So I did the math. I know, shocking, right? I didn't have to have somebody do my numbers for me, mainly because there were no numbers needing to be crunched. It was just looking stuff up.
So then that's not numbers being done for you.
Yes, it is. We're moving on. G2 won over Evil Geniuses in week 1 with a time of 27 minutes and 34 seconds. Now, I know you already know the answer to this because I put it in our private Discord, but indulge me a little bit here.
Okay.
Do you think that EG won faster or slower than 27:33 today?
I mean, even though I keep saying it's a quicker meta, looking at the overall pace of these games, especially today and this week, I would say slower.
And you would be right. Today, Evil Genius's official time was 32 minutes and 30 seconds. Which means, again, just on the state of technicalities, like this doesn't matter for anything. They both get the same prize pool money. This is literally just a what if we decided to see who it was kind of thing. Seeding would go to the faster winner, which would be G2. In this case, because we can't get them to play a head-to-head tiebreaker.
Right.
So I would say the seeding would go to or side selection goes to the faster winner. So we're going to consider that as the resolution of the tie for this case. So that would be G2. So technically G2 finishes the group stage in third, and Evil Geniuses will finish in dead last.
Another case of EU greater than NA.
Now, Riot, as far as, pick'ems goes, which is the same on our prediction spreadsheet, which is now available to the public, which we'll go ahead and put into the chat so y'all can take a look at it as well. Riot will score 3-4 as a tie since they have the same standings, right? So if you had Evil Geniuses or G2 in either 3 or 4, you will get credit for them. And you'll get max credit if you had both in 3-4, regardless of, which way you had it. Personally, I had Evil Geniuses in 3rd and G2 in 4th. So technically, I have it backwards. But Riot will give credit for it. So, hooray for me. Moving on to the bigger banger in this group, though. How about fucking damn one Kia today, man?
I mean, originally.
Originally. I just want to say before you get into it here. Did I not fucking say they would show up week 2?
Yes, you did.
All right, you can continue.
I originally had them 3-0 today, and us forcing the tiebreaker. Then me being me, and then me looking at you, and doing this and doing that, I changed that before I went to bed.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times. I'm like, oh, he's picking this. Maybe I should go with that instead. But yeah, damn one.
7-0.
Damn one. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just realized something. Day 4 last week, I was 6-0.
Yes, you were.
I have never, ever in the history of my pick'ems gone 6-0 on a day. Like, had a day where I got it all right.
Until now.
I looked at that today, actually, as I was, working on our spreadsheet here, making it look all nice and pretty. I'm like, wait a minute, I got everything right back on Monday. What the fuck? I have never gotten it all right. But looking at, I don't even want to talk about standings. I just want to talk about this damn one team, right? That fucking annihilation, and I do mean annihilation of JDG in Game 6 today. Them forcing the tiebreaker for first seed. I'm sitting here like, I'm like, okay, so damn one wins. We're getting the tiebreaker for first seed. JDG wins. They're undefeated in the group stage, and they're going to be cursed because it's damn one Kia, ironically, all over again. Go completely undefeated in the group stage. Go undefeated just go undefeated the whole fucking tournament and then choke. Actually, they lost in semis, but
still pretty choky.
Yeah, still not a good look. It's overconfidence, right? I will say though, I want to back up just a little bit here before we deep dive too far into this damn one team and this JDG damn one tiebreaker. I want to talk about Group A for a moment because we are a little bit behind on our coverage. How about that T1 Week 2 buff? What did I tell you? I'm telling y'all, T1 has this passive buff. You put their backs against a wall and they will fucking make it happen. T1 has, I believe, what was it? Only once they failed to qualify out of groups, if I'm not mistaken. I might even be wrong on that. I don't think they've ever not qualified out of groups.
Yet who was the one who actually called them to 3-0 the day? Who was the one who, from the get-go, said they're gonna win it all? Hmm?
I mean,
Continue.
I've been saying T1's a favorite. I even said, look, I'm only betting Gen G to win the tournament because I don't want to cast or curse T1. Or do I need to go rewind the tape? Because I got it.
Will you just stop kecking and go on already?
So team one. So surprisingly, I do want to say real quick, we are tracking garbage time this year. And by garbage time, we mean a game that has absolutely no implication on the standings or seeding implications for any teams involved in the group, right? So regardless of the outcome for the game, it cannot affect a first seed. It can't affect standings for any team, nothing, right? Or
Yeah,
at least anybody
basically,
advancing.
basically dead rubber.
Yeah. Um So far, I'm pretty shocked that the only garbage time game we had was T1 versus C9. Because regardless of how T1 placed, they still had a shot at whether they won or lost the C9 game. They still had a shot at being able to get the first seed. Um, T1 showed up yesterday, man. That's all I can say. I also warned you. I said Fnatic was going to choke in week 2. Well, EU as a whole region has choked. They're pulling an NA right now. They have
Yeah,
not won a single game yet this week,
yeah, this is
which is
why
kind of concerning because as we go to we go to tomorrow, Rogue is in first place in their group, right? I gotta find the damn. Where did I put the foldy sheets at? I closed the foldy sheets. Of course I did.
Yeah, well, luckily for you, if I go and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and it should be that, and
Oh no,
there's
I did
this.
still have it open. What the frick button, man? Okay, here we go. So yeah, looking at Group C here, I mean, Rogue are in a pretty good position being 3-0, right? There's literally only one scenario where they can lose outright. I think it's very safe to say Rogue can move on to the quarterfinal stage. But are Rogue going to pull a rest of the EU and actually choke all 3 games tomorrow and likely force a tiebreaker?
I mean, worst case scenario, you could have this whole situation where they just go ahead and they still choke, but oh hey, they advance to 3-3.
That's going to require the Gigabyte Marines to step up a little bit here. And I am not sure that's possible.
I mean, all they would have to do, Rogue chokes. So
Right.
that gives Gigabyte Marines 1. They would only need to beat Top Esports. And I would see them fare a lot better against Top Esports than I would against DRX.
This is true. But DRX have to 3-0 in order for that scenario to happen, which I think DRX are going to 3-0 tomorrow as well. Because, again, LCK week 2. But yeah, no, C9. I mean, I gotta give them. You know, they tried. They had a lot of momentum. I think that early win versus Fnatic right out the gate really caused, like I said, it was exactly as I predicted almost. It was going to cause Fnatic to just completely crumble under mental pressure. And I mean, it showed. Fnatic, like I said, they lose to C9 and then they're guaranteed to drop T1 if they do that, if they do so. And that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, EDG just proved to be a little bit too strong for C9 to overcome in the early game. And they ended up getting eliminated at the hand of EDG, which, to be honest with you, I can't feel too bad about getting eliminated at the hand of the defending world champion.
But at the same time, those same defending world champions also bowing out. Which, yeah, didn't see that
Wait.
coming.
What? No, EDG
Am I
are the
wrong?
Yes, you are wrong. EDG are the defending world champions. They advanced in second place. They have the second seed coming out of Group A.
No wonder I was looking at my predictions all funny.
Yeah, they hold on, let me go back to it because I gotta find it again. There it is. Yeah, EDG ended with a 4-2 record, which put them solidly in second place. Fnatic was 2-4. Cloud9 was 1-5. Yeah, no, EDG, like I said, losing to the hand of the defending world champion, I'm not that mad about. Yeah, we should have played better. It shouldn't have to come down to having to 3-0 for a chance at a tiebreaker and then playing even more games to try to have a shot at going to quarters. The 1.3% chance from, or 1.6% chance it was from last year. I don't know why I just said percent there, but
Again, I told you the way that C9 was playing, and with everything that happened, not all the carryover from the summer split, all the carryover from week one, I didn't see it.
I mean, C9 in that Fnatic game showed us the C9 that we all thought and expected were going to show up at Worlds. Unfortunately, I don't know what the fuck happened where that C9 only showed up for that game. But I kind of have to, I think a big thing of it was, and I saw this on a lot of different podcasts and various esports personalities and YouTube videos and just general content I've been watching about Worlds, especially between the break between the weeks here, is North America definitely had an ego problem in Worlds and in week one.
Mm-hmm.
North America was ego flexing when they didn't really have an ego or a leg to stand on. And I think that's what cost us week one, and I think that's ultimately what's costed us groups and worlds in such a frankly embarrassing fashion, right? I think in week two we saw a lot of these teams drop the egos, play humble, and I mean, at that point, you're too far backed up against the wall to be able to, have that much of a fighting chance, but they tried. I mean, like I said, Evil Geniuses, C9 pulled a game off Fnatic, who up until that point were undefeated. That's honestly pretty huge. I would honestly attribute Fnatic's downfall at Worlds 90% of that to Cloud9. As I said before, this game, especially at this stage of the tournament, is very mentally competitive as much as it is, mechanically competitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're Fnatic, right, and you're like, okay, we're 5-0 so far, or we're 5-1, or sorry, we're 2-1 going into the group, right, or 3-0 or whatever it was. Let's see, they won one, lost.
They were 2-1.
Yeah, because that's right. It was a 3-way tie at 2-1, and then C9 at 0-3. So they're like, okay, we're 2-1. We're in a pretty good shot to win the group. We played our asses off in the play-ins, right? Like they fucking raffle stomped the play-ins almost. Actually, not even almost. They really did raffle stomp the play-ins. Like, if you're that Fnatic team, it's like, guys, we are playing so well. Okay, we lost against EDG. They're the defending world champions. We'll figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to walk in the door and you get clapped, it wasn't even like, a close game or anything. If you saw that game, it was just straight up piece by piece dismantlement of Fnatic. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you turn the nameplates off, and you could say that was an Eastern team playing Fnatic. That was a JDG, a T1, RNG. Like, that was an LCK team playing Fnatic there, right? Like, that's how crazy that game was. But if you're a Fnatic team and you get just piecemeal shit on by the team and by the number one team in the region that is 0-9, right? Worst week 1 performance ever in the history of groups. And they just absolutely raffle stomped you. What do you think is going to be going through your head? I don't care how mentally resilient you are, that is going to bother you even in the slightest little bit of a way.
Well, and not just that. Expanding out a little bit more, going slightly more macro. Worst week 1 started 0-9. And just after that day, not even accounting for today's action, they were at 1-11. You count today, 2-13. So not only would I feel bad for Fnatic having been beaten like that in that situation, but
hindsight's kind of 2020, and I get the point that you're going at here, but I'm talking about like in the moment.
No,
right?
I know in the moment, but not just, and this is why I say I'm expanding out. In the moment, knowing that was their first win for the entire region of the tournament, that's one thing that's going to suck in the immediate afterglow.
Yeah, but look at the schedule, right? Look at who you have to go up against next.
Yes.
That's the rest of the point that I'm trying to get to. And you just got your shit raffle stomped by the laughing stock of the tournament, because I'm sorry, but NA is kind of regarded as the laughing stock of the tournament right now, even if nobody's going to put it in those terms. You just got dismantled by the laughing stock of the tournament. And now you have to go and face the greatest player of all time at Worlds. Like, you have Faker. This is his 101st. Yeah. This is his 101st career game at Worlds. The man has, what was it, 73?
72-28 going into that game.
Yeah. So 72% win rate at Worlds, right? you are sitting there. You have got to, like I said, I don't care how mentally resilient you are. It's got to be just flat out. Like, you've got to be panicking. You've got to be breaking down. Like, you just got to be sitting there. Like, somebody's, it's, have you ever seen the movie Airplane with Leslie Nielsen?
Yes.
Where they walk up and the girl's starting to freak out. And they're like, snap out of it, snap out of it. They're slapping her across the face.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the situation you end up in as Fnatic walking into that T1 game. Fnatic becomes the lady in the chair freaking out.
And this is what I'm saying, not just in that moment, because you already knew odds were against them, even if they had won. Let's face it, for this exact reason.
Oh, yeah. But you also, like, the other consideration as well is now you're thinking, at least if you're the coach of Fnatic, you're sitting there thinking, you got the foldy sheet out. You're going, oh, shit. Okay, let me click on C9 winning. Fuck. Now I'm in a situation where in order for me to have, continue my conquest at Worlds here, I kind of have to win out here. Like, if I only beat T1, I've got a 50-50 shot, but I'm not going to beat T1. Like, you kind of have to you kind of, that thought has to sit in the back of your head, right? It's like, this T1 game is kind of my do or die situation where if I don't beat them, then I pretty much have to beat EDG. And if I don't beat EDG, I'm screwed. And even if I do beat EDG, I'm no longer the master of my destiny. So Fnatic was screwed out the gate, and they knew it by them losing to C9.
And this is why I say, not just that, they knew that they were screwed out of the gate. Go forward throughout that day, even after the T1 game. And this is what I was getting at. You not only screwed yourself over, but look back at your performance and the position that you were in. That one wound up being an 0-3 day. As part of that, you go ahead, you crash, and you will lose, like you say, to a team just going into that. But after that, you're thinking, okay, NA week 2, they get their shit together and everything. 100 Thieves now has to go 3-0 to tie the worst NA performance ever at groups.
I'm gonna pull up the foldy sheet for a moment here. And look at Fnatic as you go in to the day here in Group A, right?
Mm-hmm.
On our all-new Predictomatic. There we go. I'm going to full screen this for a moment here so we can see it a little bit better. Literally, the only situation that Fnatic just gets royally fucked, right? And I'm sure they've got this going in the back of their head. They're like, look, if we lose, if we outright choke today, we're out. If we only beat C9, we're out. Right? They're like, okay, we can afford to give up a loss. We can kind of afford to give up 2 losses, depending on who we lose to. But C9 beating them, They're already backs against the wall into a we must win the next two. And even then, they were likely going to have to get a tiebreaker if they did that. Now, if they somehow had managed to upset T1, they would have been golden, even if they lost to EDG, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say C9 continued to choke and the rest of the day held up the way it did, right? Even if the rest of the way held up the way it did, Fnatic ends up in one of the very few scenarios on that board where going 2-1, or sorry, let's say they win out over EDG, right? Because I said they would get very lucky and advance on first seed. Very lucky. But that would have required EDG to choke, which, as we saw, didn't happen. In reality, they lose to T1. They also lose to Fnatic. And we get a T1 that advanced out at first seed. Which is good for T1 because that means that, at least for today, they definitely get to dodge JDG in quarterfinals. Because it's ones versus two seeds, right?
Gonna be an interesting draw at this point.
Oh, yeah, because right now we've got T1, EDG, JDG, and Damwon in. JDG and T1 are your first seeds. EDG and Damwon are your second seeds. This is going to get very interesting very quickly. I would not be surprised at all whatsoever if we get a T1 EDG rematch in the quarterfinals.
Boy, wouldn't that be spicy?
Oh, yeah. I think we're a little off to make our predictions on what the quarterfinal draws are going to be, but with the T1 C9 game, by the way, I know I mentioned it yesterday. I got to go back and scroll it up because I want to make sure I've got the right number here. Yep. We are down to 59, technically 58, because Udyr is disabled. We will not see him. 58 champions left out of 160.
Dare we say a diverse champion pool again? I said that there's.
And I'm pretty sure that number is. I'm pretty sure that number is knocked down even further today. I want to save that number knocked down even by one today. I'm double checking Twitter, but I want to say I thought I saw a Lulu today. I may be wrong.
I kept saying about this beta, but no.
Yep, fiddlesticks. So we are down another one. So we're down to 58. Technically 57.
And at this point, we'll be lucky if that number drops below 50. I don't see too many more unique champions being picked these last 2 days of groups.
Maybe not in groups, but in quarterfinals, I could see it. Especially if we get regional matchups in quarterfinals, we will see regional meta, which means all sort of crazy shit can happen. Because some of these regional metas are wild.
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of saw that with the, dare I say, Fiesta that was the tiebreaker today.
Oh no, the tiebreaker today. Don't get me started. That tiebreaker today. Woo, that is the game of worlds right there. If there is one fucking game that you have to watch this entire tournament, it was that tiebreaker today. That game was fucking fantastic. Like, literally, that game was so close. The freaking clawback that JDG made from the huge advantage that Damwon had fucking carved out was just absolutely fucking. Remember what I said about how a world championship caliber team must be able to know how to play from behind, how to play from deficit?
Yes.
That game is the example reason. That is the dictionary definition of that point.
I mean, the way that ended and the way that EDG was playing originally, I was like, or the way that crap, brain fade. The way that Damwon was playing originally, I'm thinking, okay, I may have whiffed on this tiebreaker prediction. This ain't going too well. Then I kept saying, oh, wait a minute. JDG's doing better at team fights. Wait a minute.
That's literally exactly that's exactly what it came down to be honest with you. It was the team fights. They zoned. JDG literally were just like, we're going to commit everything except for the Aatrox onto zoning Aphelios out of the fight. If we can zone Aphelios out of the fight, he's the guy that has all of the damage and the carry potential. If we zone him out of the fight and he can't free hit on Aatrox, Aatrox is literally so fed that 369 is just going to completely, demolish the entire line of Damwon. And that is exactly what happened. Time after time after time, they would dive onto Aphelios the second that they could. They were committing the Vi ultimate. They were committing Hope on the Kaisa ultimate. They were literally throwing Leona. They were literally throwing everything they possibly could to just zone Aphelios out of the fight so that he couldn't do damage. By the time Aphelios could, get anything done, Aatrox has drain tanked the shit out of the rest of T1 and is running rampant. And every time that the damn one tried to catch 369 offside, they just immediately counter engage, zone Aphelios out of the fight, and bam, that's it. It's over. And the game was so close that literally neither teams were playing the map either. They were playing the team fight because they knew that if somebody got caught off out in a side lane trying to push, it was game over. I was sitting there at I think it was 31 minutes into the game or something like that, 30 minutes into the game. I'm sitting there like, Jesus Christ, this is stalling out. This game might actually go the distance. This could be a 50 minute game. Because that's literally what they were doing. They were stalling for objectives.
Well, and I think especially since there was a Mountain Soul on the table, I did notice it's like, okay, we can't really go ahead and go in for the inhibitors and stuff right away. Let's back up, reset, send the message, get this back, and then go right on back in.
Yeah, and that came down. I mean, we saw it. It was 3 dragons on each side for each team there. Like, that Mountain Soul was definitely heavily contested.
And I mean, the way that eventually, in particular,
But
JTG fought, setting up not just with the team fights, getting the team fight, scurrying off, going ahead, and then turning that team fight, making that an ace, and then leading in towards the Baron. It's like, well, hell, that was damn near textbook.
I mean, I really honestly think that Damn One fucked up that dragon fight. The one where Felios has to blow the stopwatch and just gets absolutely obliterated on by the several different ultimates coming out of JDG to zone him out. I think for the next week here, because again, both of these teams are moving on, right? This wasn't an elimination match or anything. This was literally just for seeding. So, if anything, the tiebreaker I think is good for both of those teams because if they run into each other further down the line, they got film.
They
to look
really
at.
do. They do.
They got film and they got experience, right? But I think that's going to be the thing that Damn One is going to be talking about for the next week and some change here until they go to quarterfinals next weekend of, hey, how could we have played this dragon fight better? But at the same time, remember I said League is a game of mental resiliency, right?
It is.
You cannot, if you are Damn One, and I know this is something that Eastern teams will have a tendency to do sometimes, you cannot hyper obsess and focus on the what went wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at it, you acknowledge it, you take a few minutes to say, okay, here's the play that we should have ran instead. It's like, okay, he pulled shotgun trips instead of going for the blitz. Maybe we should have gone for the man coverage, right? Or the zone coverage. Because we know he's going for, short, medium pass.
Yep.
But, you sit down and you do that kind of analysis, right? You say, okay, they played shotgun blitz here, or they played shotgun trips here, and we ran a blitz, totally left the guy wide open. He gets a 13-yard pass, and then makes another 12 yards after the or makes another, in this case, you might as well say they ran it in for 6 because they really did.
A catch and run for a score.
Yeah, and he got a 40 whatever yard run after catch there. It gets the 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go back and you look at that play and say, okay, well, we see the running back is here. We see that the receivers are there. Now we know what route they're running. We should have put we instead of trying to blitz the quarterback, we should have, put the man coverage out. You go back, you look, you identify what you did wrong, you identify what you should have done instead, but you don't sit and you don't harp on it, right? You don't sit there and go, well, we could have made the blitz work if 87 there had managed to juke around and break the hold on, from the right guard there and, got around and he could have blitzed the quarterback. That's not what you do in this situation. You don't sit there and deep dive the play so deep. You do not sit there and analyze every word in a 3-minute video to the point where we have to have a counter because I reference it so many goddamn times. And yes, that does count. It is not a play that is worth the infamy. What?
Nothing. Continue. Go on.
It is not the play. It is not a play that is worth going into infamy as one of the top 10 most overanalyzed plays in the history of competitive League of Legends. That is the ultimate point I am making here. Unlike, look at the cleanse, look at the booze, Faker, what was that? All right, I know you want to say something about the two references. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna mention the spread, not gonna mention the pace, not gonna mention you influencing and wanting the over to hit. I ain't gonna.
I'm not trying to make the over hit. I'm legitimate. Tell me that wasn't appropriate to make that reference there and trying to
both
to
of
break
those
that down.
both of those were appropriate. I am not gonna disagree with you.
So, but I that's the point that I'm making here. If you're damn one, you cannot sit and dwell in the past. You have the rest of this tournament to play. Yes, you fucked up on a play, but as the analyst desk said after the fact, it literally came down to better positioning and better mechanics in the team fights. It was not a difference in draft. It was not a difference in early game, mid game, late game, objective control, anything like that, right? It literally was the fact that JDG recognized a condition of we have to zone Aphelios out of the fight. And despite Damn One's best efforts to neutralize that, Aatrox had become too big of a threat where he could literally sit there and drain tank or require attention from the Damn One team before he obliterated the whole team. But you can't give the Aatrox attention if your AD carry, which is the guy that you spoon fed, was getting his ass dove left, right, center, and everything. He's fielding blitzes from every direction. He was getting blitzed so hard, he was 20 yards out of the pocket. And that's what it ended up coming down to, was who had the better team fight and who could get on to whose carry or whose, isolated pick or whatever first. And that's why I think it was such a good game, because we very rarely see League of Legends games that come down to that, even on the world stage. Maybe when you start getting to the quarterfinals, the semifinals, the finals, more so the semifinals and the finals, when you get to best of 5 format, you see something like that. It's not the kind of game you expect out of a group stage, though. Which is why I say, so far, that is the game of the tournament.
Perfect way to end the day, to say the very least. I mean, what did I say again? And I'm going back to what did I say about this tournament in particular? This is what Riot wanted for this particular tournament. They wanted a game like that.
I think Riot always wants games like that.
Though. But they always do, yes. But come on.
No, you're not wrong. To get it in the group stage like that, such a nail biter, edge of your... Dude, I was on the couch. I'm watching it on the TV, right? And I'm like, oh my fuck. Oh my, holy shit. Like, I was on the edge of the couch the whole fucking game. That was, like I said, that was the game to watch in this tournament. Now, unfortunately, it screwed up my pickups, and Damwon doesn't get the first seed out. But it's also important, right? Because let's look at facts here, right? We already have T1 and EDG out. So the team that gets second seed coming out of that game, like the casters were saying it at one point during the broadcast, the person who loses this game could potentially get knocked out in quarterfinals depending on who they draw up against.
Mm-hmm.
We still have some pretty damn strong teams left in this tournament that we haven't figured out. We haven't finished groups yet, right?
Right.
I mean, let's talk about tomorrow real quick, right? Let's go back to the foldy sheets and let's talk about tomorrow real quick. As I scroll down to Group C here, we have Rogue, we have Dragon X, we have Top Esports, and we have Gigabyte Marines. I'm sorry to the Vietnam fans. I truly am. Let's face facts, though. The Gigabyte Marines are not advancing. I mean, we saw the situation that Evil Geniuses were in today for what they needed to do to advance, and they couldn't do it. And GAM is literally in that exact same situation. Top Esports. If Jackie Love has gotten the ego out of his system and gotten the int out of his system and can actually do Jackie Love things and not miss position and, feed like a fat kid at a Golden Corral, then Top Esports has a chance. And if they're lucky, it's second seed for them. Which means they have to go up against the likes of a T1 or a JDG. Honestly, I feel that Rogue are in too good of a position that even if they choke it all up tomorrow, they're still going to advance. I mean, look how much green is on there on the fucking board for them, for crying out loud. You could, I mean, it's what is this, 1.6%, right? For one single dot. So what's 100 minus 1.6? That's what, 98.4?
Look at whoop, hang on.
You could argue that Rogue has a 98.4% chance of advancing out of the group stage. Yes, okay, there are tiebreakers involved in that 98.4%. Sure. But overall speaking, 98.4% chance. That ain't damn near not going to happen or impossible to lose, but that's about as close as you're probably going to get ever for a group stage.
Well, I mean, all I'm going to say is weirder things have happened. And as a New York Jets fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm aware. Since apparently we are weaving the football references in today. Why did I have to compare it to shotgun? I mean, it was a good comparison, though.
Well, I mean, especially with that kind of formation, shotgun, empty backfield, you even nailed the coverage. I mean, you know your football.
I do know my football, yes. It helps if you play.
This is true.
But this is, like, statistically speaking, this is so next to impossible that it's improbable. my predictions for tomorrow, I'm going to run them through the all-new Predictomatic here. And I do want to point out, so far I have an overall record of 65.71% in groups. I'm just saying I'm a little bit into the shark territory right now. So if you happen to want to bet on your favorite sports betting site, that would be Bovada.lv, because 21 means 21. God damn it. Please gamble responsibly. And if you need help, the number's on the screen. You probably wouldn't do too bad by taking our advice. Not that this is official gambling advice, but
I mean, we're being all informal of whatnot. Remember, a Vegas sharp, when you go into these sorts of things, it's, long term 53, 55%. The best of the best, or even borderline ridiculous claims, are in the 58 to 60% range. In groups, you're at nearly 66. And even I'm now at 61.
outside of that caster curse day, I haven't fallen below 50%. Actually, no, sorry. Overall, I did fall. I was at 33% thanks to the caster curse day. I improved to 44%, but then I caught up going at the end of the week and then into today. Overall, on the day, though, honestly, that caster curse day is what hit me hard. That is the only day where I have had a negative day, where I have gone lower than 500 on pick'ems. Because day one, I went 500 even.
Yep.
But since then, I've been at 60% or better.
Yeah, because you take away that day and you were sitting at 22 and 9. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, no, if you go back to play-ins, I was 20 and 12 overall with the 62.5% correct prediction rating.
Mm-hmm.
You went 17 for 15, and that includes the tiebreakers, for 53%. So, but I'm going to put my picks in for Group C here. Rogue versus the Marines, right?
Right.
I think Rogue can clean that up pretty easily. I have zero faith in Gigabyte moving forward here. So that pretty much almost eliminates the Marines off the bat. That gives them a 1.6% chance of even being able to advance on a tie. Now, if they lose the doubleheader, because they are the team with the doubleheader, or the first one, anyways. They have to beat Top Esports. This is the game that honestly I could. This is a very big could see GAM take, but Top Esports versus GAM. Top Esports prevented me from having an 0-6 day for the first time ever. So I'm going to keep the faith with Top Esports, which will mathematically eliminate the Marines at this point. DRX versus Rogue. This is a bigger game than I think people are going to realize. Because this game is actually what's going to be the decider for who gets the first seed in this group, I feel. Because if Rogue lose here, right, and DRX win their next 3, they still have the capability to take first seed. Right? There's one scenario where they get it outright, and one scenario where they're going to play a tiebreaker for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think DRX is going to take it.
Okay.
Yes, Rogue beat DRX in week 1. But EU is choking. Just flat out. EU is choking so far this week. GAM is free. I don't care who you are, GAM is free. Unless you're NA, in which case maybe not. But GAM is pretty much the free team in this group. Which is why I think Rogue can get a win off of GAM. But I think they're going to choke under DRX. And since they do choke under DRX, that puts that realm of DRX getting that first seed into play. If Rogue win, it's off the table. Because even if DRX only lose to Rogue, they don't have the capability to take the first seed. The best they can do is advance in second. The worst they could do is actually get eliminated by Top Esports. But I think DRX are going to take that. DRX versus GAM, that's also easy. I mean, you even put the prediction in for me before I even had to say it. That's going to go to DRX. Top Esports versus Rogue. I think Rogue can win that. Which at this point means Rogue and Dragon X are going to have to battle it out in a tiebreaker for first seed. Right? Unless Dragon X lose to Top Esports, which I don't see that happening. I see DRX winning it. And that means we get a tiebreaker like we did today for first. Now, if Top Esports manage to win over Rogue and Rogue choke that badly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they can only beat the Gigabyte Marines. Yes, they'll still advance. But if DRX win over Top Esports, which I think is possible, yes, Top Esports is going to have some momentum, but their momentum is really going to be over Rogue and not over GAM Esports. Yes, that's going to be a big deal because it's a doubleheader for Top Esports, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a banger of a game out of it like we did today in the tiebreaker, or really even in the initial setup for the tiebreaker in the first JDG game. But if Top Esports win versus Rogue and DRX win versus Top Esports, DRX will advance as the first seed. Now, my group standings, I put DRX to come out at the top of Group C, and then Rogue underneath them. I have that overall. I have for overall I put Dragon X and then I put Top Esports. I wasn't expecting Rogue to be as strong as they were. I think Rogue surprised a lot of people, myself included. My predictions for the standings at week 2, because you can't go in and edit your pick'ems once they're locked when groups start. How I think the groups are actually going to shake out at the end of week 2, which is the end of group stage. I moved Top Esports down a slot and I moved Rogue up into second. As far as the Top Esports Rogue game goes, I think Top Esports will indeed win it. Actually, I think this is what's going to happen. Top Esports will take out Rogue because Rogue is going to choke because they're going to be like, okay, we beat the free team, now we got to focus up. But I think Top Esports, I think Jackie Love might actually show up tomorrow. I know I'm shitting on Jackie Love a little bit here, but he hasn't been playing at his best, and I would like to see him show up and improve this week like a lot of other teams have tried to or have. And at the very least, play spoiler. And then, like I said, the DRX are going to show up. They're going to be like, oh, we lost to Rogue. That was a fluke. And they will 3-0 tomorrow. Which means no garbage time and no tiebreakers. I will admit, I originally said I was going to be keeping track of garbage time games this year because last year we had a lot of them, right? I'm sure you remember last year's tournament. We had a lot of garbage time games last year's tournament. This year, so far, we've only had one with predictions. And again, this is going on a, 65% accuracy rating here. So a good bit better than a coin flip. I think that Riot did a much better job on the order of games to avoid the garbage time.
This is why I said, and I'm going to harp on this every chance I get. NA tournaments do not happen often.
No, the last one was 6 years ago.
You put Riot and any kind of international organization really in their home base. Like we can confidently say, Riot here in NA. They are going to do everything they possibly can that they can possibly control to get the best of the best of the best. Any place wants to wow the home crowd. That is exactly similar reason why, since you started the group stages at the World Cup, the next one starts in about 5 weeks' time. You only had one team who hosted the World Cup to not make it out of the group stage. Whenever you have it and it's on your home soil, even if your team suck, you show out and you want to make the best tournament possible. So that way, everybody will be talking about it. And whenever there's consideration, they root for you to have it again. This is Riot doing just that.
Yeah, I mean, Riot does control ultimately where they send the tournament, though, but I would like to see North America get rotated in a little bit more than every 6 years because there's okay. I will give COVID a little bit of slack on part of the reason why this happened, but it's supposed to. My understanding is it's supposed to be rotating, right? So it's supposed to be once every 4 years because the 4 major regions get the tournament. Unfortunately, 2020, it was supposed to be in Shanghai. And, well, that was like persona non grata to the rest of the world back in 2020, much like Russia is now persona non grata to the world. So Riot ended up moving it to where the hell did they do Worlds in 2020? I don't even remember. I know it was another Asian. I know it was another Asian country.
Was that one South Korea and then they did Iceland?
No, they actually did end up holding that in Shanghai.
Because wasn't that one more remote?
That one was the one that was entirely remote, if I remember correctly.
That one was remote. And then you had...
Yeah, they had the tournament was held without the live audience. They did the play-ins, groups, quarterfinals, and semifinals at a small private studio in Shanghai. And then they did the finals at Pudong Football Stadium in Shanghai, but they limited the capacity or the attendance to 6,312.
So 20% because social distancing.
Yeah. I mean, this was the absolute height of it, so yeah. But because of that, Riot's like, oh no, we're gonna make it up to you guys. We're gonna do it in whatchamacallit. We're gonna just go back to China next year, right?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't fair. That you guys had to, yada yada yada. And then they're like, hey, guess what? We're gonna go ahead and move this to Iceland because this is pretty much the only freaking place in the world that's going to allow us to do this. Okay, well, I'm not sure that's entirely correct, but
by that time in 2021, it was still pretty close.
Yeah, they really wanted to do it in Shanghai again. But at least if I remember correctly, they wanted to do it in Shanghai again. But they couldn't, so it ended up in Iceland, in Reykjavik. So, yeah. Korea is, if I had to take a guess, I know they haven't announced it yet. Next year, it's probably going back to Korea.
That wouldn't surprise me.
It'll probably go to Korea, then it'll go to EU, maybe China first. Actually, no. It's probably going to go to Korea next year. 2024 will be in China. 2025 will probably be in so Korea, China. 2025 will probably be in EU. And then 2026 we'll see it in North America again. More than likely. That's my guess. Like if they had futures bets on where these things happen,
2026 would be a very, very good year to have it in NA.
Isn't 2026 the next big Olympics?
No.
Like full Olympics?
No.
What's going on in 26?
The United World Cup, US, Canada, and Mexico. Because then the next Summer Olympics would be in 2028 in Los Angeles. But yeah, 2026, you have that big event, June and July. Then starting, hopefully by then, beginning of October, because dear God, I would have hoped Riot would finally listen and fix the format for the group stage for Worlds. Yes, that's a nice combo.
But yeah, no, you're right though about how Riot wants the tournament to look good on its home turf, on the company's home turf.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm looking at the spreadsheet here, and I see your predictions are mostly the same as mine, with one minor correction, which I'm going to flip on the foldy sheet. So, with Rogue winning,
Mm-hmm.
they will advance, and it's a tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're literally rooting for a tiebreaker.
Mainly because, since we're making our predictions at the same time, I don't want a repeat of the caster curse from last week. And if there was one game to where I would differentiate, this is the one to where I would feel most comfortable.
I could see that. And I kind of said it myself, It all depends on how badly both of those teams choke, if they choke, right?
Right.
I mean, if GAM win out against Rogue or Top Esports, this group's going to go upside its head.
That would be the chaos. But even as much as I love Vietnam, I don't see that much chaos.
I think the chaos is either going to be Group D, which is what I said originally, or it's going to come in the bracket stage.
Depending on the draw. If we get a crazy draw, there will be.
No,
chaos
that's
knockouts.
exactly what I'm predicting. I'm thinking it's going to be some super crazy fucking draws. Because let's go ahead, just for the sake of argument. I don't want to put it into the sheet yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I think we're in agreement, at the very least, that Rogue and DRX are going to make it out of Group C.
Yes.
It's just a matter of at what seed.
Right.
Let's take a look at Group D here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it is very, very safe to say RNG and Gen G are going to make it out of this group.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, if we go back and look, right? Group A, EDG, Fnatic, and T1. They were in a three-way tie. EDG, T1 both got out.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, let's look at today, Group B. First and second, right?
Mm-hmm.
First and second got out.
Mm-hmm.
Group C, we're predicting first and second to get out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's safe to say first and second are going to get out. Especially when you see how much red is on the board down here between CFO and 100 Thieves combined.
And the fact that you have CFO, again, pretty much the free team, and 100 Thieves not going to live up to the pressure.
100 Thieves will spoil somebody out of a game, just like every other NA team has.
Yep.
And it's probably going to be CFO, which is, I don't want to say that's going to be a garbage time game, but I think in the grand scheme of things, you might as well call it a garbage time game.
Yeah.
It's not a garbage time game in paper definition, but the two of them playing, we know 100 Thieves have not been good, especially if they do choke the rest of the day. Honestly, this is kind of clever by what Riot did here, right? I think Riot realized, hey, if these two teams play any other time of the day except for first, this is probably garbage time. So let's go ahead and stack the potentially garbage time game first And if 100 Thieves can get the momentum, great, then it doesn't look like garbage time. Otherwise, we're literally delaying the inevitable. It's kind of smart programming on Riot's part a little bit.
Again, the best of the best. So even if, you're not on a 2, say you're watching college football, you got a noon or 1 o'clock game, that wraps up at 4. You can hop right over on Twitch or YouTube and check World's coverage. You won't have missed much in the grand scheme.
Probably not, no. I mean, if 100 Thieves, win that game, and again, they start that momentum drive, they get the first down, they're setting up to begin a scoring drive here. They still got 2 more downs before they're forced to turn over the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 2nd and 10, the coverage ain't looking so great. 3rd down ain't looking even better. Or ain't looking that much better than 2nd.
Well, again, like Al Pacino said in the locker room on any given Sunday, 1 or 2 yards less each time, you're looking at 2nd and 8 instead of 2nd and 6. 1 or 2 of these little plays here and there each time, 100 Thieves are like, we could pull this off.
Yeah, if they get that first down, they're going to go back to the locker room and they're going to say, okay, we got the first down. We could pull this off. But back to my point, though. Let's say for the sake of argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
RNG and Gen G get out of Group D.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say for the sake of argument, because you voted tiebreaker.
Yes.
I am going to flip a coin. Literally, I got a quarter.
Okay.
I'm going to flip a coin for seeding just for argument purposes on Group C.
Alrighty.
I should have called that first.
I was about to say, in my mind, I was going to call heads.
I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Who gets heads? No, we're doing this again. Who gets heads? What team gets heads?
Oh, RNG. I'll give
Okay.
RNG heads, Gen G tails.
RNG heads, Gen G tails. Okay. It's tails.
Okay.
Pardon my kind of messy desk. Sorry. All right. So they'll take first seed.
Mm-hmm.
So who do we just say got first seed? Sorry. I was doing the coin toss. I'm trying to write this down.
Gen G for first seed in Group D. Yeah.
Oh no, that was for Group C.
Oh,
Fuck.
for Group C.
Yeah. We haven't done our predictions for Group D to see if we even need to flip a coin.
You were the one that had me thinking ahead. So for that one, since I'm going tiebreaker between Rogue and DRX, DRX heads, Rogue tails.
Okay. I lost my quarter. Try that again. I lost my quarter again.
There's a reason why I still have the predictions made moments before disaster.
New quarter. Tail. Or sorry, no, that is heads. Heads.
Okay.
All right. Group D. Let's do predictions on Group D real quick. I'm going to say 100 Thieves will take it over CFO. Gen G will win out on Gen G will 3-0. I think Gen G is going to 3-0. I honestly believe they have the capability to get that first seed. RNG will take it over 100 Thieves and over CFL. It forces a tiebreaker. If RNG win, they get first seed over Gen G. And I think that's honestly probably the only game that we would probably disagree on here.
Yeah.
All right, so another coin flip it is. Same quarter. Same quarter. Call it.
RNG heads, Gen G tails.
Heads.
Okay.
All right, so that means we have T1, JDG. What do we say? DRX was going to be the first seed?
Yep, DRX.
DRX and RNG. You know what? I need to create a sheet because this is getting difficult to visualize. BDG, DRX, and RNG. I'll fancify it up later. Because we kind of need to make the knockouts coming up anyway. So
Why do you think I already labeled it?
all right. So for the sake of chaos, I do mean sake of chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see T1 go back up against Gen G.
Yeah, that would be a damn appetizing quarterfinal.
Because if you look at summer playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
T1 lost to Gen G 3-0 in the finals of the summer playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
This would literally be a rematch of of LCK summer finals, summer playoffs. And it's a best of 5. This is the moment for T1, and I'm saying this because I'm throwing T1 to the fire here, right? If T1 can win this, they're going to win the tournament, flat out.
I'm not disagreeing with you because
They were second overall coming into the summer season,
Mm-hmm.
and they placed second overall in summer playoffs. T1 was 15-3. Gen G was 17-1. Meanwhile, the other chaos that I would like to see, unfortunately, we can't get it because they're both on the same side of the bracket, but I would have loved to see Damwon Kia Dragon X again. Or Damwon Kia and EDG again. Unfortunately, it can't happen. Not yet. I'm going to laugh my ass off if that ends up becoming the fucking finals again. And it's a literal rematch of last year's World Finals. I don't think either of those two teams are strong enough to get that far, but I'm going to laugh my ass off if they do. Mainly EDG. There are much stronger overall team fighting and individual playing teams at this tournament than EDG. I think EDG will get knocked out in quarters. So we got T1 and Gen G assigned. That leaves us 3 other teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember who played. What was the MSI final? The MSI finals were RNG T1 3-2. Of course they were.
Yeah, I remember being up at 8 in the morning at Silver Scrapes with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, because they fucking held it in South Korea. All right, so I put T1 up against Gen G. Who do I want to put JDG up against? I'm thinking JDG versus Dam1. I think this is the test that Dam1 needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is one of those if Dam1 wins out over JDG, Dam1's in the finals. I don't know if I could say they win the tournament, but Dam1's definitely in the finals. It's difficult to convince me otherwise. At least in the semi or I mean it's quarterfinals and they go to semifinals, so yeah. It would be very difficult to convince me that they don't go to the finals. Depending on who, even if they draw up against, like a Gen G or something. Honestly, a Dragon X EDG wouldn't. I think that would be a banger series. 2 kind of slower play styles, but both could be very dominant.
That's the one that would ruin my crystal ball pick.
And then finally, we would have RNG Rogue, which I'm sorry, EU fans.
Break out the brooms.
Because I also said we'd see at least 2 reverse sweeps, right?
Uh-huh.
This is where I more than likely see them coming. I could see T1 reverse sweeping Gen G. And I could see Dam1 reverse sweeping JDG easily.
It's pretty reasonable.
RNG Rogue will be a 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
DRX EDG probably a 3-1. Maybe a 3-2. Maybe. But it wouldn't be reverse sweep 3-2. It would be ping pong.
No. Yeah. Ooh.
Going into semis, you would have T1 remaining. You would have Dam1 remaining. You would have DRX remaining. And you'd have RNG remaining. Which actually, I would be really fucking hyped for to go see in Atlanta. That would actually be a hype fucking semis for me. I'm really hoping T1 make it to fucking semis. Because if there's a fucking... Look, I will be all over fucking social media. Like, if I get the opportunity to meet Faker...
If you manage to meet Faker, I just be done. I'm like, after what happened on Sunday, and if that happens, I'll be like, I'm done. I'm done.
That's my thing, right? Like when I really hope I get to meet some of the pro players when I go up for semifinals. That would be epic. If Faker is the pro player I get to meet, that's bucket list.
Pretty much.
Like that is the greatest of all time. I don't care what the fuck you say, right? Now the over under on do I mention Faker versus Ryu?
0.5, and I'm going to take the over.
Actually, no, I wouldn't do it. I legitimately wouldn't do it. I probably brush up on my Korean for how to say hello. It's a pleasure to meet you. And then butcher it horribly.
YouTube.
Yeah.
There is YouTube.
There is YouTube. And I got 2 weeks. Showmaker would be pretty cool to meet too. Chovi's on Gen G, but Gen G wouldn't be in semis. T1, Dam 1, Dragon X, RNG. Let me think. As I pull up team rosters here, because I'm trying to remember who's on what damn team. Oh, that was that. Why is no? That's MSI. You fucking dumb thing. All right, so T1, obviously, like I said, Faker. Damwon, Showmaker would be cool to meet. Maybe Nuggery. Nuggery'd be cool to meet too. He's been playing for a long time. DRX. Beryl would be cool. I forgot Beryl was on that team for a moment. Beryl's been playing the game for fucking as long as I have too. And then RNG. RNG's got a pretty solid roster. Like it would just, and it would be cool to meet anybody, right? Like,
right.
Like, being honest, it would be cool to meet any of them. But I think the top of the list is probably going to be Faker, Showmaker, and probably Beryl. Now, if Gen G go to Worlds to semis instead, which it could happen, right? You know, maybe T1 and Gen G both make it because they don't have to play each other, right? That is a possibility.
Right. Instead, you'd see them maybe play each other in semis.
Yeah. Oh, dude, if they played each other in semis, like my heart, like seriously. No, Gen G's fucking roster is stacked with people that I would love to fucking meet, man. Peanut, Chovy, Ruler, fucking Peanut and Ruler are fucking multi-time world champions from T1. And Chovy, I mean, hello, Chovy Life Esports. Sorry, that was last year. Generation Chovy. Hashtag Generation Chovy. But what I'm really hoping for at the end of all of this, though, as we kind of go into, we're kind of getting a little off topic on day analysis and whatnot, but what I really hope Riot gets a takeaway from this, just in general, both for North America and international events, when they come to Atlanta, that the Atlanta fans show up.
And believe me, I have a feeling that it's the ATL. They're going to show up and show out.
Yes, and we need to. The South, right? The South needs to send a message to Riot. Hey, you stupid fucks, stop ignoring us.
No,
We're fans too.
No. Even better. When Outkast won their first award, late 90s, everybody was in the big, East Coast, West Coast battle. Andre 3000 got up on the podium, right in front, crowd looking into the cameras and everything. The words Andre said are the words that fans at State Farm Arena in Atlanta need to say Halloween weekend for semifinals. The South's got something to say.
Bingo. I don't think anybody could have said it better. Because for way too long, the southwestern U.S. has just been absolutely ignored by Riot, domestically and internationally. And it's absolutely fucking huge that we got semifinals in Atlanta.
You mean the
I'm sorry.
Southeastern?
Yeah. Yeah. I said Southwestern, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I think it's, I'm sorry to the Canadian fans who got screwed out of the North American tour because geopolitics.
You got hockey, so shush.
But, well, no, the Canadian fans get screwed over about as have gotten screwed over about as badly as the southeastern U.S. fans have. To some extent, yes, they can travel to New York a lot easier than southeastern fans can, but yeah, no, Canada has gotten screwed over a good bit too. But I'm sorry you got screwed over by geopolitics. Thank you, State Farm, for sponsoring the LCS and saying, yeah, we can put you up in the Hawk Stadium. We'll make phone calls happen. People won't be getting paychecks if they don't make this happen. So, yeah.
Hey, they just made a quick call to Jake.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm was there.
I set the man up beautifully, and he takes perfect advantage.
Look, it was low-hanging fruit, but god damn it, it was still tasty.
Again, I set him up perfectly, and he takes advantage.
like I said, I'm pretty sure somebody was like, "Look, we'll make this happen. Somebody's not getting paid if this doesn't happen." Because I'm sure the State Farm called the Hawks and were like, "Yeah, you know how our name's on the building? Well, we kind of need to use the building, and if y'all want to keep getting money from us, y'all are going to make this happen."
They were like, "Hey, Adam, yeah, that weekend, yeah, still preseason, yeah, done."
And then the Hawks called the NBA. "Hey, yeah, that weekend, we need to play away." Well, what do you need? You need to play away. We need to play away. Damn it!
Like I said, yeah, Adam, yeah, the Halloween weekend, yeah, it's still preseason, yeah, we ain't home, okay?
I did notice something today, which I'm surprised I hadn't noticed beforehand. And I put this in our private chat, but you know how they play that commercial, the Mercedes-Benz commercial between the matches, where they get the Mercedes-Benz car driving between the different cities that they're hosting the venues in, and there's like some sponsor or the venue in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed today they didn't put the State Farm Arena in the background for when the car drives through Atlanta. They have the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the background.
Obviously.
And trust me, I'd recognize that damn building anywhere. Yeah, damn unique architecture. Munner, John Portman. I don't think John Portman designed the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but
I mean, Chiseled Adonis has a very, very good name for it.
I feel like this is going to go point of viewer very quickly.
Okay, go with those instincts.
Good. We'll talk about this on Point of Viewer on Sunday.
Definitely.
Because yeah, I can think of a couple of things in my head. Yeah, they definitely ain't safe for work or Twitch. Probably not YouTube either. Speaking of, do you want to go ahead and take us out of here? We, like I said, we've made our predictions for tomorrow. DRX, I'm gonna say they take it. They take the first seed. Rogue will advance, but I don't want to say at the hair of their teeth, but it might get a little scary.
You mean the skin of their teeth?
No, I know what I said.
Look, if your teeth have hair, consult a dentist and a doctor.
My teeth have hair. It's called a beard. They freaking beard eats my hair, or my teeth eat my beard all the time.
I'm about to say your beard eats your hair. Yeah, we better go. Thank you all for watching and listening.
I'm getting into that. I'm getting delusional phase of the show.
Yeah, thank you all for watching and listening to those on YouTube.
Get off of my lawn. DRX is going to win. I mean, T1 is going to... I mean, Rogue is going to win Worlds.
Care to throw in any more while you're at that rant? You good now? For those on YouTube, search Not a Network podcast. Yes, we're developing a shortened link. Stay tuned. For those of you on Twitch, twitch.tv/AWP podcast. Yes, that's also going to change in the near future. Or you can also go personally to twitch.tv/Andesian, YouTube, or now Twitter, at Not a Network Pods, at the Andesian, at Squid Sports Head. Oh, it's getting good.
Now we'll see you tomorrow, folks.